I discovered my wife turned our marriage into a weekly comedy roast. So I recorded every humiliation, served divorce papers live, and walked away free. I never thought I'd write something like this on the internet, but here we are. My name's Ethan, 38, and until a few months ago I thought my wife, Melissa, and I had a solid, if imperfect, marriage. We'd been together 15 years, built a quiet life in Ohio, the kind where neighbors wave from porches and no one locks their shed because everyone knows everyone. But one random Thursday flipped my world upside down in a way I still struggle to process. I got home early from work, expecting to see Melissa prepping dinner or scrolling recipes like she usually did. Instead, I heard laughter drifting from the dining room, sharp, high-pitched, the kind that instantly tells you someone is being torn apart for entertainment. My stomach tightened before I even knew why. I quietly dropped my keys on the entry table and moved toward the sound. Through the crack in the dining room door, I saw Melissa at the head of the table with her usual group of friends. Jessica, a mouthy redhead who loved drama, Bree, the giggler, and 3 others whose names never stuck because they were interchangeable: wine, gossip, more wine. Melissa was mid-performance, standing with one hand on her hip while reenacting something ridiculous. And then he comes out of the bathroom doing this weird little shuffle because his boxers ride up literally every morning, like some 6th grader who doesn't know how underwear works. The group erupted, glasses clinking, faces red with laughter. It took me a second to register she was talking about me, imitating my movements, my morning routine. I froze, my hand gripping the doorframe as she launched into another story. This time about how I burned chicken last week, set off the smoke alarm twice, and apparently made the kitchen look like a murder scene with marinara sauce. More laughter. Someone asked how she tolerates me. Melissa didn't hesitate. Honestly, I ask myself that sometimes. I mean, he's a good guy, but God, he's so clueless. It's like being married to a sitcom character that never learns a lesson at the end. They laughed even harder. And then one of them, Bree, asked the question that made me physically sick. What about in bed? Melissa took a sip of wine, smiled, and said, let's just say his idea of foreplay is asking if I'm ready, and then counted 3 like he's waiting for a microwave to beep. I backed away before I threw up. That wasn't venting. That wasn't harmless girl talk. That was a roast, a performance, a humiliation ritual where I was the weekly headliner, and they were the audience. I sat in the kitchen, beer untouched, hands shaking while they continued cackling like hyenas. When they left, Melissa walked in humming. Humming. The same woman who just spent an hour turning me into a clown act. Hey, babe, how was work? She asked like nothing happened. I couldn't even answer properly. That night, in the shower, I replayed every word I'd heard. The way she exaggerated my habits, mocked my attempts at romance, turned our private life into content for her little wine club audience. Something inside me shifted. Not anger, not yet, just cold clarity. I needed to know how long this had been going on. Over the next week, I paid attention in a way I never had before. Melissa claimed her women's charity planning meetings happened once a month. But on Tuesday, I heard her on the phone with Bree, laughing about how I couldn't find my favorite coffee mug that morning. Apparently that was peak Ethan chaos. And she said, ugh, Thursday can't come soon enough. I need new material. New material. Like I was some character in a late-night monologue. So I tested it. Friday morning, I purposely misplaced my wallet and acted forgetful. She gave me that same amused smile. Maybe you should tattoo your checklist on your forehead, babe. And I knew instantly she was collecting jokes. That weekend, I had lunch with my brother, Ryan. He casually mentioned he'd run into one of Melissa's friends, Jessica, and she made a comment about Melissa having the patience of a saint living with someone who organizes the spice rack by color. My blood went cold. That wasn't something Melissa should have shared with anyone. That was something between us. And suddenly I realized the jokes weren't staying within that room. They'd leaked into our community, my workplace, conversations at the grocery store. I was becoming a walking joke without even knowing it. On Sunday night, I confronted Melissa lightly, asking what she told her friends about our spice rack. She laughed it off, claiming she complimented my systems. I saw the lie in her eyes. The tightening around her mouth, the flicker of panic. She knew she'd slipped, and she desperately didn't want me to notice. That's when she changed venues for her Thursday meetings, switched from our house to Jessica's, because her dining room is bigger. Bigger my ass. She moved them because she didn't want me overhearing again. That was the moment I knew this wasn't an accident. This wasn't venting. This was deliberate, calculated, cruel. The next morning, after she left for work, I opened her phone. I'd never done it before, not once in 15 years. But the truth was more important than my guilt. The group chat was called Thursday Wine Warriors. Their messages made my hands go numb. Can't wait for this week's episode of Guess What He Did Now. Last week's lock-checking story had me in tears. Melissa, you have to bring up the drawer organization thing. And then Melissa's message that changed everything. Moving the meeting to Jessica's. Ethan's getting nosy and I can't perform properly with him lurking around. Perform. Like our marriage was her stand-up routine. Like I was her punchline, and she needed stage space to roast me more effectively. I screenshotted everything, put her phone back, and sat at the kitchen table in silence. She wanted a performance? She wanted a stage, an audience, laughter at my expense? Fine. She was getting one, but not the one she expected. I spent the next few days planning. Lawyer, evidence, timeline, witness statements. My lawyer, Paul, listened to just 10 minutes of recordings and said, Ethan, this is emotional abuse. I wasn't trying to ruin her life. I just wanted out. Clean, clear, undeniable. Thursday night came. Melissa left for her meeting in a cute top hair curled, carrying her favorite Moscato. Don't wait up, she said cheerfully. God, the irony. I drove to Jessica's house 30 minutes later, parked in her driveway like I owned the place, walked to the door with a gift bag in my hand, and rang the bell. Jessica opened it, eyes wide. Oh, Ethan. Hi. We're kinda in the middle of something. Perfect, I said, stepping inside. Won't take long. The room fell silent the moment I entered. 6 women, mid-laughter, wine glasses paused in the air. Melissa went pale. Ethan, what are you doing? I brought dessert, I said with a smile. Inside the bag were 6 manila envelopes. I handed them out one by one. Go on, open them. Jessica opened hers first. Her jaw dropped. These are divorce papers. Correct, I said calmly. Citing emotional abuse, public humiliation, and breach of privacy, with transcripts of your weekly roast sessions included. Melissa shook her head, tears gathering. Ethan, please, you can't. Can't what? I cut in. Can't respond to months of you turning our marriage into a comedy show. I pulled out my phone and played audio. Her voice filled the room, mocking my habits, my routines, my attempts at romance, laughing at me, feeding their entertainment. One clip after another. The women stared, horrified, no longer giggling behind wine glasses. Melissa sobbed silently. I'd never seen her look so small. You didn't think I'd find out, I said. You weren't worried about hurting me. You were worried about losing your stage. She tried to speak, but broke down. I wasn't cruel. I didn't yell. I simply told her, you could have come to me. You could have talked to me. You chose to humiliate me instead. Over and over. So I'm choosing myself. And then I left. The divorce took 2 months. Quiet, efficient, brutal only in truth, not revenge. Word spread across town. People finally heard MY's side of the story. The recordings were part of public court record. Something I didn't intend to humiliate her, but couldn't legally prevent. 6 months later, I ran into Jessica at Walmart. She mumbled that they felt terrible. I asked her honestly, do you feel terrible, or do you feel embarrassed you all got caught? She didn't answer. Today, I'm healing. I still organize spices by color. I still check locks 3 times. I still plan spontaneous trips with actual itineraries. But now I know those things deserve someone who sees them as quirks, not comedy material. Melissa got her Thursday night show for 6 months. I got something better, my self-respect back. And unlike her roast, my ending actually meant something. I walked away free.